Good morning, everyone. If you can please find your way to your seats, we're going to get started here. I want to thank you all for making your way back bright and early this morning. I'm glad to see everyone's faces here. You're all looking awfully nice. So I want to give everybody a round of applause for making it out this early in the morning. So I appreciate that. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our conference sponsors. We have representatives here from Union Pacific, Cargill, and Pioneer, so I'd like to give them a round of applause this morning. Really quickly, we're going to go through announcements here. A couple of things we need to highlight. Our information booth, which will be over in Sheeman, right where the registration desk is, will be open tonight until 8:30. You can purchase evening tickets from 7 to 9 a.m. and 3 to 5 p.m. The most important thing you need to remember is that you need to have your ID with you, your lanyard. If you do not have that, you will not be able to purchase tickets. And the tickets for night it is $10 for the party tonight, $10 for the party tomorrow night, and $10 for the step show. Or if you haven't already, you can purchase all three for $25. Right after we get done with our introductory speaker this morning, workshops will begin over at Sheeman. The one thing I want to highlight about that, and I would ask for your cooperation in, is what will happen is we have larger rooms this year, so there'll be a lot of people in the room. I highly advise you to get to the workshop early, so as soon as we get here, don't lollygag around. Do your walking and talking as you make your way over there and get into the workshop that you would like to go to as soon as possible. What may happen is if there's too many people in the room, we may ask you to leave and go attend a different workshop, so I ask you to be cooperative in that effort. There'll be a lot of people over in the building, so when you have your 10 minutes going between workshops, make sure you say hello, shake a hand really quick, and head on to the next workshop. I know the thing y'all are most interested in today is lunch. So lunch will end today at 1 p.m. So as soon as you get out of the workshop, make your way over here. You can talk once you get here. Buffet lines will be served. And once you get here, make sure you remove your ID badge, the insert, and it will be punched once you hit the buffet line. So make sure you have that out and ready. Things will run a lot smoothly. Another thing with credentialing, make sure you have your ID badge at all times. You may be asked it if you're coming into the building, if you're getting on a bus, or at random if you're going to a workshop, make sure you have it out and visible. Replacement badges are $25, so we highly suggest that you make sure you keep it with you at all times. And if you need a new ID badge, along with the information desk, like I said, 7 to 9 a.m. and 3 to 5 p.m. today. The restrooms are located through the back and through the front. If you go straight up the stairs and you go out top, they're right on the outer concourse. And if you have any questions, our volunteers are in orange shirts throughout the conference. So if you have any questions, they should be able to answer them. If not, contact somebody, Hilton staff, and they can get in touch with me and I can be able to answer questions. If you have any questions during after hours or you're stuck somewhere, my cell phone number is 214-405-0679. If you see me throughout the day, if you need to get that number or whatever, feel free to call me at any time. Transportation, 7 to 9 a.m. I thank you all for coming early, as well as 9 to 2 a.m., 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. tonight. There will be no shuttles running at any other time, so if you need to leave now, get a van, or have your bus driver come back, feel free to do so, but there will be no shuttles running in between outside of those times. So once you're here, you're here. And the only other thing I want to point out this morning is no videotaping is allowed of any speakers, so I just wanted to let you all know that. I want to thank you all for coming out last night. I do want to apologize actually for Michael Blackson's performance. We will be sending a correspondence to his company. So I just want to thank you all for bearing with us through that. And right now I'm going to turn over to Joel Benton, who's going to introduce our speaker. Thank you.
Good morning. Everybody doing okay? Okay. I'm good, you guys. So I have the privilege of introducing our first speaker. And this individual I've gained a lot of respect for and I appreciate. He's been a true inspiration in our planning of this conference. So I'm really psyched about introducing him. Our first speaker today is Dr. Thomas L. Hill. He's our Iowa State University Vice President of Student Affairs. He took the position on here at Iowa State University on August 1st, 1997. He came to Iowa State University from the University of Florida, where he had been Dean of Student Services for the past 4 years. Prior to accepting his position at Florida, Dr. Hill served as Assistant Athletic Director for Student Life, first for Tulane University and later for the University of Oklahoma. Before pursuing a career in the field of higher education, Tom Hill excelled on the athletic fields, and he earned a number of honors. He was twice named Arkansas Amateur Athlete of the Year, and he was ultimately introduced into both the Arkansas Track and Field Hall of Fame and the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. He competed in the 110-meter high hurdles competition in the 1972 Olympics in Munch, winning the bronze medal. So without further ado, I would like you to welcome Dr. Thomas L. Hill to the stage.
Good morning. Y'all got to wake up for me now. Good morning. All right, that's a little better. Thank you, Joelle, for that very kind introduction. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the two co-chairs of this very well-organized event, Joelle and Thurston, and I want you to join me because they've done some amazing things. Not only did they help organize this event, them and their colleagues, they were also able to pull off a feat that's not often done in Ames, Iowa about this time of year. I know most of you have seen on TV that it's supposed to get up to about 57 today. That is huge. They are responsible for it. Let's give them a hand. On behalf of President Gregory Joffrey, the administration, faculty, staff, students of Iowa State University and the community of Ames, we'd like to welcome you to Iowa State University and to the Big 12 Conference. We're thrilled to have you here in Ames, and we're very excited about hosting this very, very important event. I'm pleased to be with you to get your conference started, and I'd like to thank the planning committee, as I've done, for this invitation. Now, I was here last night, and I saw Michael do his thing, and I also saw a lot of talent last night, which is not unusual when you get a bunch of us together. Yeah, I'm going to say it. I also heard some comments last night about, I think Michael said, all the black folk in Iowa raise your hand, and they raised their hand and they said that was all there was in Iowa. Well, I thought I'd take the opportunity, if you'll indulge me just for a moment, since this is Black History Month, and I'm a Black History buff, a Black History product, quite frankly. So I thought I'd share a little Black history with you as it relates to Iowa State and the state of Iowa. Now, if you know this stuff, just bear with me, because there were a lot of things I learned when I got here. And let me share a few things with you. I actually thought as a youngster growing up that George Washington Carver was a graduate of Tuskegee. Now, why I thought that, I don't know, because nobody ever told me anything different. Well, when I arrived at Iowa State University, I learned that not only was George Washington Carver the first African-American student at Iowa State University, and you put the numbers together now, you can go back a ways, you folk who are history buffs as well, he was the first African-American student at Iowa State University, but he was also the first African-American faculty member at Iowa State University, which is a little bit unheard of, and Booker T stole him from Iowa State University. Now, in your history books back then when I was going to school, they didn't tell us those kinds of things. A little tidbit. Another piece of African-American history as it relates to Iowa State University. There's a residence hall on this campus recently built, $24 million facility that's named for two individuals, Nancy and Archie Martin. Neither are graduates of Iowa State University, but history has it that when George Washington Carver and others came to Ames, Iowa to go to school here, while we let them go to school here, we did not allow them to live on campus. Yeah, you could imagine that. We did them a favor. We let them come to school, but we didn't let them live on campus. Well, Nancy and Archie Martin were the housing folk for the coloreds in Ames, for black folk. In their house, and if you drive down Lincoln Way going towards Duff on the right-hand side by the Burger King, you'll see the very house that Nancy and Archie Martin built. And they used it as a boarding house for African Americans who came to pursue an education at Iowa State University. So we thought it was fitting that we would name a residence hall after the first African American Dean of Students, African American Director of Housing. They didn't give them those titles, I did. So I'm going to rewrite a little history here. But if you get a chance, go on campus and take a look at Martin Hall. Now, typically we'll name something for black folk that's about to fall down. This is a $23 million brand new facility. Their names all over it. Very interesting. A little bit more of African American history at Iowa State. The football stadium is Jack Trice Stadium. It's named for an African American football player, played here back in the 30s. Was killed as a result of a football game they played with, I think, Wisconsin and Minnesota, one of them. But what they did is they decided that Iowa State had an African American football player nobody else did. So they wanted to get rid of this guy. So they injured him in a football game, and he eventually died as a result of his injuries. But his name is on the football stadium here at Iowa State University. Now, let me throw another little tidbit, and then I'm going to move to another piece of African American history, and then I'll get to my prepared remarks. Some time ago, when they would not allow African Americans to pursue graduate degrees in the South. I'm a native of New Orleans, what's left of it. There was this practice, because racism was pretty interesting, and as we all know, racism was pretty stupid, but I'm going to tell you how stupid it really was. If an African American wanted to pursue a graduate degree, states like Alabama would actually pay them to leave the state to pursue a degree somewhere else. Now think about this. We're talking about how they're fighting about minority scholarships. What would you call that? They actually paid them room, board, tuition, and travel to leave the state so they wouldn't have to integrate their universities. So quite a few African Americans, and you might want to talk to some older African Americans, there's several of them that came to Iowa State to pursue a graduate degree. Piece of African American history. Let me move just a little bit further I moved to Des Moines. Just indulge me for a few more minutes. Some of you might be surprised that only a couple of years ago, there was a black mayor of the city of Des Moines. His name is Preston Daniels, something that you might not be aware of. Another thing, I don't know how many of you aspire to be attorneys. Let me see a show of hands. Anybody playing private? Okay. There's a strong chance that when you finish law school, now you noticed I said, not if, I said when you finish law school, and keep that in mind. When you finish law school, there's a strong chance that you will join something called the National Bar Association. That organization was formed back some time ago when the American Bar Association, which was basically white, would not allow African Americans membership. So, like most of our ancestors, most of those who came before us, very resilient, no didn't resonate with those folk, and that's principally why we are here, because they didn't understand what no meant. If they shut this door, they went and found another one. Well, because they wouldn't allow them to be a part of the American Bar Association, 5 black attorneys, 4 males, and 1 female created the National Bar Association, and that's the one that you will probably be a part of as well. Now, those 5 individuals, 4 males and 1 female, were from Des Moines. A little tidbit that you didn't know. So there are more black folk doing things in Iowa than you think about. One last bit, and then I'll move on with my remarks. Some time ago, when blacks were not allowed to be officers in the military, the Army decided to embark upon an experiment to train African Americans to be officers in the United States Army. They had to find a place to do it. You got it. You know where they came. Fort Des Moines in Des Moines, Iowa, was the first training facility for African American officers in the United States Army. In addition, it was the training facility for female officers in the United States Army, Women Army Corps. In that group, there were black females. So they started here in the state of Iowa in Des Moines. So, a little bit of black history. Now, take that and think about it. So Iowa's not that bad. Now, after having said that, anybody that want to go to school, graduate school at Iowa State University, you see me after this presentation, all right? We got something for you. The other thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out a way, and don't everybody scream at once, I'm trying to figure out a way to keep all of you here. Y'all look so good. This is outstanding, to look out and see all these beautiful faces. And I'm working on it, so if somebody revokes your passport before you leave, that's me working, okay? Students of color have an important role to play at predominantly white institutions like Iowa State University. I'm sure many of you come from similar types of institutions, and you bring something special to the institution while at the same time benefiting yourselves from gaining an education. W.E.B. Du Bois said, "Education and work are levers to uplift a people. Work alone will not do it unless inspired by the right ideals and guided by intelligence. Education must not simply teach work, it must teach life. As educated individuals and as leaders, you must uplift others and you must be teachers of life. You will have the responsibility of serving in the roles of teacher and leader to the members of our community. You clearly are our future. And I might add, our future is in very, very good and capable hands. Your success is dependent upon many factors, but most of all, it depends on you. Your success will depend on your hard work, your efforts, and your service to others. Marion Wright Edelman, founder and president of the Children's Defense Fund and the first African-American woman admitted to the Mississippi State Bar, said, "Many of my mentors and role models all conveyed the same message. Education is for improving the lives of others and for leaving your community and world better than you found it." I ask you to think about how you will leave your communities, the college or university where you are a student, as well as the African American community, better than you found them. How will you do that? It doesn't happen magically. It doesn't happen while you're sleeping one night. It happens as a result of a plan. You've got to have that plan. How will you leave your communities better than you found them? Make the mark you have to make. Give what you have to give so that all places where you've been will be better as a result of you having been there. Ms. Edelman offered some words of wisdom to her 3 sons in a book entitled The Measure of Our Success, A Letter to My Children and Yours. In this book, she identifies 25 life lessons for her sons that are life lessons appropriate for all of us. I'm going to talk about a few of them. I'm not going to talk about all 25, but I'm going to talk about just a few of them. A few of those lessons seemed especially appropriate for us today, and I'd like to share those few that I've identified with you. Bear with me. I think they're very, very important. Lesson number 1, there is no free lunch. Let me do that one again, because everybody wants to get the hookup, you know? Everybody want to get it and get it quick and not sweat. Now, think about how you talk about things. You want to talk about how little work you did for what you got. Okay? There's no such thing as a free lunch. Don't feel entitled to anything you don't sweat or struggle for. If it came easy, trust me, it's going to leave easy. It may not leave tonight or tomorrow, but it's going to leave, and it's going to leave just the way it came. Pretty easy. We all need to work hard and to keep working hard. That's the way of life. You got to work. Those of you who are in leadership positions know that you've worked hard to get where you are today, and as students, you're working hard to make sure that you reach that graduation day. And again, everybody in here is going to graduate. I know it. I don't even want to ask the question. Everybody in here is going to graduate. I truly understand that. But not only will you graduate, you're going to take somebody with you. Because when you graduate, you're going to want to have a party. And when you have a party, you need to have your buddies with you. Okay? So take them with you. It'd be a good time. But remember that graduation is not the conclusion of your efforts, nor is it the end of your learning experiences. Quite frankly, it's just the beginning. That's why they call it a commencement. They don't call it an ending. They call it a commencement, meaning you're going to start something else. Ms. Edelman said, while a college degree today may get you in the door, it will not get you to the top of the career ladder or keep you there. You get in, you got to work, and you got to stay there, and you got to move up. You've got to work your way up hard and continuously. Each of us must take the initiative to create our own opportunities, not waiting around for favors. We must not assume a door is closed, but must push on it. We must not assume if it was closed yesterday that it's closed today. We must keep working and keep pushing forward. Matter of fact, If the door is closed, kick it down. Tear it down. You need to get on the other side. Lesson number 2. Another life lesson she teaches her sons is to never give up. Never give up. Miss Edelman shares a quote by Harriet Beecher Stowe, which said that when everything goes against you, till it seems as though you could not hang on a minute longer, never give up then. For this is just the place and the time that the tide will turn. Just when you decide I'm quitting, that's when they're going to decide they're going to let somebody in. And you ever hear, you hear it more in Las Vegas and places where they gamble and somebody will prime a machine. They'll put all their money in it, and then somebody will walk in right after them and put $1, a nickel, or whatever, and look what I got. Just when you think it's time to quit or when you give up, that's when it's going to happen. You have to persevere through the difficult times. You must hold on and find a way to keep moving toward your goals. These are times when you need to call on your brothers and sisters in the community who can help you find a way. And there's always somebody around that want to help you. There's no question about it. And you have to be certain that you use these difficulties as learning experiences so that you don't go down the wrong road again and so that you can help others when they call upon you for assistance. It's about the community, and it's about helping. It's about the brotherhood. It's about the sisterhood. It's about helping one another. Lesson number 3. Continuing to learn was something Mrs. Edelman emphasized with her sons. She said, don't ever stop learning and improving your mind or you're going to get left behind. That's why you're here today. That's why you continue to seek out opportunities to better yourself. And that's what this is about. College is not the end of your learning. When you graduate, you may be finished with classes and tests, but you have to keep on growing. Pay attention to what goes on around you. Learn from the wisdom and experiences of others. And as a professional, as someone who's been out in the profession for a while, let's say it might be the end of classes and tests. Well, that's not true. As professionals, we're tested every day. Every day. We take final exams 3 and 4 times a day. We have to go to class all the time. They're schooling us all the time. Finally, lesson number 4. Ms. Edelman said, remember your roots, your history, and the forebears' shoulders on which you stand. And I think that's critically important. Sometimes we can get full of ourselves and think we've achieved things that nobody else has achieved. That's not true. And it only takes you a while to sit and talk to some of these old, cagey, I shouldn't call them old, seasoned, cagey African Americans. My mother had a high school education. I've got a PhD. She was a whole lot smarter than I was. Matter of fact, to show you how things go, when I got in trouble, her son, the doctor, first person I'd call, Mama, what should I do? And out of that mouth comes a whole lot of wisdom. And here's the other thing. I probably paid more taxes in a year than she made in a year. Probably paid more taxes. But I often found myself, when I had more month than I had money, you know who I called? Mom, can you loan me a few dollars? And you know, she'd always go to the can or, dig in the safe, or something like that. But she always, never broke. Never broke. So those are the shoulders on which we stand, okay? And because we're somewhat educated, we've got brilliant people who didn't have the opportunity we had. Brilliant. Think about this. I know some of you are smart, but I saw this in my neighborhood. There's an old guy who used to run the numbers. Y'all know what running the numbers is? is gambling. They used to run the numbers. I had an old boy who never had a piece of paper. Now you go figure this. You could bet the numbers, this old boy in the head, do it. If you won, he'd bring you your money. Now I don't know what kind of education he had, but now think about it. Mathematician. Now think about it. This dude was brilliant. He just didn't have an opportunity to do what you're doing today. So we need to take this, we need to be proud of it, we need to be happy, but we truly need to understand, while we're bright, there's some folk that went before us that were just absolutely off the chain, like you wouldn't believe. Let me tell you something else. I've seen this. We talk about people with strategies, people who could outthink other people. If you were a black person back then, you had to outthink the white folk in order to live. You had to think 3 or 4 steps ahead of them. When they were going to cut your foot off, you had to figure out how to stop that dude from cutting your foot off. You also had to figure out how to stop him from hanging you. You can't be stupid and do stuff like that. My point, we're standing here on the shoulders of giants. No, they may not have had a formal PhD, but they had more PhDs than you and I will ever get. We're standing on the shoulders of some brilliant people. Do not forget about those who helped you get where you are. You didn't wind up here on your own, trust me. You had a lot of people that invested time, energy, money, everything in you. People who loved you, who love you to help you get to where you are. Don't forget to thank those who helped make it possible for you to be where you are today and where you're going to be tomorrow. And you're going to be in some important positions, some very important positions. I want you, though, when you get there, and you're going to get there, to look around. See how many folk look like you. That's why I want to keep all y'all here. Y'all kind of look like me. I know somebody saying, I'm not that ugly, but that's okay. That's all right. That's okay. Y'all look like me, whether you want to or not. And some of you are ugly as me. Count that. All right? Now, there are many forebearer shoulders on which we stand. We have our family members, our supportive friends and mentors, those who've paved the way for us. We must remember our history and make a contribution to those whose history we will be a part of. I know that your time at this conference will be valuable. There's no question about it. Get as much out of it as you can, and be sure to take the leadership lessons you learn here back to your campuses so that the talents of our community of color will make important contributions to our communities in general. Enjoy your time in Ames and at Iowa State University. Have a great time, and I want for a lot of you this not be your last time to come back. And you don't have to wait another 12 years or whatever it is to come back to Ames. Come back and see us. Now, there are black folk in Iowa. You know that. I just told you about some of that. Black folk do survive the winters. Okay? It's not that bad. I'm from New Orleans. Put this together now. Came here from Florida. We make it. Things are okay. We survive here. Let me suggest to you, don't let a location determine whether you pursue an opportunity or not. I'll tell you a little bit about this, and then I'll sit down and shut up. I came to Iowa State from the University of Florida. I had my eyes set on some vice president's positions in some different locations like Atlanta, like New Orleans, like Houston, different places. A gentleman told me that he would submit my name as a candidate for a position at Iowa State University, and it was a gentleman who is my mentor, who I knew I would need for that job in Atlanta or New Orleans or wherever. So he told me, I'm going to submit your name. If you get an interview, go to the interview. I thought, okay, I'll go up to Iowa State and I'll humor the people, go through the process, but the jobs I really want are in other locations. But I got here. It was kind of interesting. People treated me very, very well. And I realized that career-wise, this was an excellent opportunity for me. Almost 9 years later, I'm still here having fun. My point, don't let a location or the climate or some of those other things, we don't have black folk. Well, there are black folk here, and if you want to come with me sometime, I can show you where they live. And I might know all of them, but that's okay. You find what you need. You find your support group. And I say that because there are going to be people here at this conference who are looking at you, who are going to want to hire you. Because somebody say, my company's in Alaska, I know y'all saying, I'm not going up to Alaska. Go for a visit. You might find that there's some good folk in Alaska or some other place that you would never, Ames, Iowa, or Fargo, North Dakota. I mean, who knows? They may ask you for something like that. Keep an open mind. And who knows, you might be able to pull your relatives up there. I've been trying to bribe my folk to come visit me up here for the last 8 years. They've been once, but I'll get them back. But keep in mind that there are going to be a lot of opportunities for you. That's why you're here. That's why you're educating yourself. Take advantage of it. Once again, have a good time here. Enjoy your stay in Ames and at Iowa State. If you get a chance to go by Martin Hall, take a look at it. Go in and check it out. But I'm glad you're here. And again, I'm going to try to keep you here if I can, for as long as I can. Anybody who's interested in graduate school here, you let me know. We've got something for you. Thank you for coming. Have a great time, and I'll see you around.